I always feel now compelled to correct the bio to include that I represent part of Harlem. Isn't that right, Mr. Ray? Yeah. I just want to make sure you understand that. Okay. The bio is entirely true, and what I can tell you is that my knowledge of this issue does not come from being elected. It comes from being a lawyer in practice. In that practice, I represented SRO Tenants Association for free. I represented tenants who were getting evicted for free. As a mechanism, my party used to call it the not-for-profit law practice that I ran, because I regularly had people who didn't pay me. But in 1997, when vacancy decontrol happened, there was this explosion of people who were facing evictions, and I was somebody who went on a list of lawyers who people could get representation from free. And I had a woman, did not live in this district. I wasn't a smart politician then. She didn't live in this district. But she was getting evicted. She lived on Riverside Drive in a 4-bedroom apartment. She had a full-time job. She had a member of her union. She was going to graduate school at night, and this is my favorite part. She was a daily communicant. For those of you who don't know what that means she went to Catholic church every day and received the Holy Communion. So I had a priest who was willing to sign an affidavit to say that she lived in New York City and she was being evicted, claiming that she lived in Miami, Florida. Okay? And because she owned property in Florida, and she had to go through months of depositions where I represented her for free to fight to save her apartment. That was caused because decontrol was created. It must stop, and it must stop now. You are all very lucky. Those of you who are represented by me are the luckiest, but you're also lucky if you're represented by Deborah or Linda or Michael or Keith, because this is the team that's fighting for you.
That's right, yeah.
And what I want to say to you is, we all have different strengths and different styles. I come from a mouthy family, so mine is to mouth off, okay? And I get credit for that. But the truth is, you shouldn't always presume that the only way to get what you need is to have someone mouthing off. However, I do mouth off. So recently, the governor called me. That's because he had me the breakfast. The breakfast wasn't very good, by the way. He had me the breakfast. Horrible, I'm telling you, the bagels were awful. Albany bagels are bad. Okay, so had us the breakfast, and he wouldn't call on me. I was like, Mr. Carter. He wouldn't call on me at all. And so when I got back to my office, I got a phone call from him. And I said, well, what do you want, Governor? He's like, well, I didn't get a chance to call on you. I want to know what you think. Do you really? And apparently he said he did. So I told him what I thought. And this is what I will tell you. I told him that I thought that a property tax cap was a very interesting idea, but that I had no intention of voting for it, because I wasn't even going to read it until he fixed the rent laws.
That's right.
I said, so don't be sending people telling me it's the right thing to do, because I will not even read the bill. I'm not voting for it until you fix the rent laws. And I also told that to my speaker. And I can tell you that Shelley didn't respond to that, but he did smile. So, and if you get a smile from Shelley, that's like a lot, just so you know. Okay. So, in the end, all of us are on the team together. And I carry some of the bills. I have a bill about MCI stuff that we pass year in and year out. Our assembly passes year in and year out good bills that expand civil rights, good bills that protect all New Yorkers, good bills that protect people like you. And we've never been able to get any traction in the Senate. And so, whether it's 421A or other things, I can assure you that if the Real Estate Board of New York is in favor of it, unless they fix the rent laws, then I'm voting no.
That's right. That's
But
right.
in the end, you know, this is all negotiation. And we don't have a lot of control over the Assembly. And we don't. There are a lot of people who don't represent New York City. We have even colleagues from New York City. We used to have a colleague who told me he didn't have one single apartment building in his entire district. I'm not giving him up, but anyway, he's no longer there. But the point is that New York City is a very varied place. We all are on the same team. I'm not going to take too much more of your time, because we have all these colleagues who know more and are smarter than me, and they'll have to tell you what they intend to do. But I want you to know that as long as you are affected, and as long as your lives are at risk, then my life is at risk. And although I'm not a tenant, I live in a co-op building that my boyfriend owns, and he lets me live there for the time being. I get to stay there. I have been a tenant, and I was a tenant before I moved there. During my days of law school, I was a rent-stabilized tenant in Greenpoint. And let me be really clear, but for those rent rules, I would have never been able to become who I am. Okay, because I could not have afforded to go to the only affordable law school in the country, which was CUNY at the time, because I wouldn't have been able to afford to live anywhere near to be able to do that. And so I understand the ways that role affected my life, and I intend to fight on your behalf. In closing, let me just say that unfortunately I have other events this evening, so I will have to take my hat and run. But please rest assured that the strategy of communication and demanding that we get attention is the right one, and this is the best baseball team in American history to fight for what you believe in. So thank you very much.